In this question we're told that a parabola has x-intercepts of -1 and -5. In other words, the parabola passes through the point -1, 0 and -5, 0, because these are our x-intercepts. And we're also told that the parabola passes through the point 3, 6, and we're asked to use this information to find the equation of the parabola. Well, the equation of a parabola is, when we're given this kind of information, is best found by using the turning point form. So we have a outside of x minus h squared plus k as our general formula. And what we want to know is we want to know, using this information, what are the values of a, h and k. Well, h is the horizontal shift, but it is also the axis of symmetry. So if we can find the axis of symmetry, we know exactly the value of h. But the axis of symmetry is also the x-coordinate of the turning point. We know, because a quadratic is symmetrical, that the turning point must occur, its x-coordinate must occur halfway between the two x-intercepts. So that tells me the value of h is -5 plus -1 divided by 2, or -3. Now that I have the value of h, I can use that to find the values of a and k. Now, next thing to recognise is that any of the x-intercepts are given by, so an x-intercept is given by h plus or minus the square root of -k over a, comma 0. So we know the value of h. We know two values for the x-intercepts, so we could use that to construct two equations. Unfortunately, what we're going to get is we're going to get two equations that give us the same piece of information, because what it will tell us is that -3 plus or minus the square root of -k over a is equal to, well, in the case of a minus, it's going to be -5, and in the case of plus, it's going to give us -1. Bringing the -3 to the other side, we'll see that -k, root -k over a, is equal to -2. And that positive root -k over a is equal to +2. Obviously this is the same equation, so we end up with a situation where we're really saying the same thing. So what we have is we have that -k over a, take the square root, is equal to 2. If we square both sides, that tells us that -k over a is equal to 4. In other words, that -k is equal to 4a. Now that we have that, we can use that information along with the one point we haven't used, substituting into the general equation, and we can find the value of a, and then hence find the value of k. So we start by finding the value of a. Using the general equation, we know that when x equals 3, y equals 6, so we have 6 is equal to the unknown value a outside of 3 minus -3 squared plus -4a. And that -4a comes from rearranging this to bring what exactly the value of k is. So then if we expand all this out, what we'll get is we get that 6 is equal to a outside of 3 plus 3 squared minus 4a. 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 squared is 36, so we have 6 is equal to 36a minus 4a, so therefore 6 is equal to 32a, and therefore a is equal to 6 over 32. Of course we can simplify this as being 3 out of 16. Now that we have the value of a, we know that k is therefore negative 4 times this, which is negative 12 over 16, or if we simplify this down, that is simply negative 3 over 4. And so our final solution, the thing that we're actually looking for, is this equation, which will be that y is equal to 3/16 of x plus 3 squared minus 3 over 4. And that is our final solution. Question 2. In this question we've been told we have the graph y equals x cubed that has been transformed into y is equal to negative 4 outside of x plus 1 cubed minus 2. Now, we're asked to describe what's happened to this graph in terms of a sequence of transformations. Well, clearly if we use BODMAS, what this tells us is that we first of all have a horizontal shift, then we have a dilation, then we have a reflection, and then we have a vertical shift. So, the reflection is clearly just a multiply by negative 1. The dilation is a factor of 4. The horizontal shift is a shift of 1 unit, and the direction it's taken in is 1 unit in the negative direction, and the vertical shift is 2 units in the negative. The question comes to the dilation, is it from the x-axis or from the y-axis? And according to the way that they want you to describe it, this would be from the y-axis. And that's it. Now, what they will also want you to do is they'll also want you to use the method that the textbook describes in order to show that. So, doing it as the way the textbook describes it. What you would do is you take this and rearrange the equation, replacing y with y prime and x with x prime. So you have y prime is equal to negative 4 bracket x prime plus 1 cubed minus 2. You're then required to rearrange this so this becomes y prime plus 2 divided by negative 4 is equal to x prime plus 1 cubed. So, what this then tells us is it then tells us that y is equal to y prime plus 2 over negative 4 and x is equal to x prime plus 1. Rearranging this, we then need to get what x prime and y prime are on their own, which means that we have y prime is equal to negative 4 times y minus 2, and x prime is equal to x minus 1. So what this tells us is that we have a horizontal shift of 1 unit in the negative direction. We have a vertical shift of -2. We have a reflection and we have a dilation. So we need to describe them in the order, in the sequence that they want you to do. Which means that they want you to do all of the dilations and reflections first and then do the horizontal and vertical shifts. So it's not BODMAS, which is one of the reasons why I don't like this method. So what we do is we say first we have a reflection in the x-axis. Then we say we have a dilation of factor 4 from the y-axis. Or as I would describe it, it's a dilation of factor 4 in the x-axis. But that's another story. And then we have a horizontal shift of 1 unit in the negative direction and a vertical shift of 2 units in the negative direction. That is the answer they are looking for. And as you can clearly see, the answer I gave earlier gives you exactly the same thing. A horizontal shift of 1 unit in the negative direction, that's what that tells me. A reflection in the y-axis, sorry, in the x-axis is what that tells me. A dilation of factor 4 from the y-axis is what that tells me. And a vertical shift of 2 units in the negative direction is what that tells me.